Many thanks to my colleagues for their very deep and interesting and, I would say, enriching reports on the different aspects of Russian propaganda and current political situation. And I will address it more to the historical frame. So, historical events like tragic and violent ones like Russia's war against Ukraine do set a precedent. Their brutality leaves deep scars. The scale of suffering shapes how we see them, and often such events resist any clear historical comparison. Still, this war needs a lot of attention, especially the ideological processes around it. Today, Russia's propaganda uses history to justify aggression abroad and repression at home. Sometimes it's absurd, sometimes it's effective, but it always works in the same way. It turns people to pride, detachment, and hate. And while this propaganda causes pain and frustration among many of us, we should try to see it in a broader historical frame. The history of Central and Southern Europe gives us much to think about when it comes to how authoritarian regimes use history and identity. Today I would like to briefly look on the socialist experience of Romania and Bulgaria, two regimes that mixed communism and nationalism in striking, sometimes ways. The ideologies of Todor Zhivkov in Bulgaria and Nicolae Ceausescu in Romania are often described as national communism, despite their loyalty to Marxist internationalism. Both regimes actively used national myth, religion, and the distant past to legitimize power. Let's start with Bulgaria. It will be the second page. In 1981, the country celebrated 1,300 anniversary of the Bulgarian state with a massive state-organized campaign. The government issued special coins, you could see them. Also several monuments in Bulgaria, one in Sofia, which is now, I guess, already dismantled. And staged over 23,000 events across the country, exhibitions, concerts, and parades. You could see just a screenshot from this parade. It's really quite massive and also available on YouTube if you're interested. Everything was designed to show this continuity between medieval glory of the Bulgarian Tsardom and the socialist present. At the same time, Zhivkov regime kept a tight grip on the Bulgarian Orthodox Church. Another next page. The church was both considered as a threat and a useful tool. It was strictly controlled by the state and a party. Its property was nationalized, education censored, but also the church was used in propaganda as a proof of Bulgaria's historic unity and cultural richness. A few years later came one of the darkest chapters of Bulgarian history, the so-called revival process. Between 1984 and 1989, Zhivkov's government tried to forcibly assimilate the Turkish and Muslim minorities in Bulgaria. Todor Zhivkov called it a restoration of historical justice, a return of Bulgaria's Turks to their true national identity. In practice, it meant forced name changes, bans on the Turkish language and Muslim religion, and brutal repression. By 1989, about 300,000 Turks had to leave to Turkey, and only after Zhivkov's fall, the campaign was officially condemned as a state crime. But still, people lost a lot. Now let's turn to Romania. And in some degree, Nicolae Ceausescu's regime followed a similar path. In 1980, it celebrated what was called a 2050th anniversary of the first Dacian state under King Burebista. This event became a centerpiece of national communist propaganda. Ancient Dacia was portrayed as the cradle of the Romanian nation, and Ceausescu as a modern unifier. The movie, Burebista, you could see the poster of it, made the same year, depicted an ancient king as a strong visionary leader, a clear echo of Ceausescu's own cult of personality, for sure. Ceausescu, and by the way, there was also the screenshot from the whole video of this celebration, which is also available on YouTube. It's really a magnificent view, I have to say. So Ceausescu also kept a strict control over the Orthodox Church. Yes, here we are. The state as well and the party use it as a symbol of national continuity from medieval to the social history, but of course control this hierarchy and message. In return, the church leaders avoided conflict with the party, even while Ceausescu destroyed and closed dozens of historic churches in Bucharest and the whole Romania. During the same years, Ceausescu's regime carried out the so-called systematization program, a radical plan to demolish the many of villages and move the residents to bigger agro-industrial towns. Many of these villages especially were home to ethnic Hungarians and Germans, and it turned the project a lot into a form of cultural erasure. One of the priests, namely, it's I guess the last page on the right side is the Hungarian Pastor Laszlo Tekes, was one of the few who resisted this policy and made the information about it available to the West, but of course, unfortunately, was harassed and monitored by the state police, Securitate. However, his resistance later became one of the sparks of Romania's 1989 revolution. Practices like mentioned, grand historical celebrations, parades, glorification of ancient truths, subordination of the church, and campaigns of ethnic repression and cleansing were all familiar features of both Ceausescu's Romania and Živko's Bulgaria. Of course, we shouldn't equate literally these regimes directly with Putin's Russia. But they do remind us how history could be weaponized, how myth, memory, and identity can become tools of power. Looking back at these examples helps us to understand that the manipulation of history is not unique to one country or one moment of time. It's a recurring strategy through which autocracies seek legitimacy, unity, and control. Thank you very much.